Here's a man that had 5 sons, and he sent his 5 sons into 5 countries. One son went to England, one son to France, one to Austria, one to Italy, and another remained in Germany with the father. And from these sons and the money that these sons had, they worked and maneuvered and manipulated until they gained control of the central banks of England, France, Austria, Italy, and Germany. The control of these central banks went into the hands of individuals whose interests were not necessarily in harmony with the best interests of that nation. These privately owned central banks became the printer of the money and the extenders of credit of that particular nation. So government and politics, I wish the politicians didn't have to go. I wish the politicians didn't have to go. But I understand you're very busy. Government and politics in Europe was always controlled by the money interests. Wars were fought, and in order to fight a war, governments had to borrow money. They borrowed money from these central banks. The central banks waxed rich because they loaned money and charged interest, then took over when one side prevails against the other. And when governments could not satisfy the indebtedness, then some of the natural wealth of that country flowed to the bankers. They would loan money to both sides in the conflict because they really didn't care who won or who lost. I mean, it's hurtful, but a Jew, Rothschild, loaned money to Adolf Hitler. A Jew, Rothschild. God damn it, you better not open your mouth to call me no anti-Semite. Rothschild and Paul Warburg loaned money to Hitler. Hitler killed little Jews, while Rothschild and Warburg stayed in the finest hotels in Europe. Damn it, if you can't call Rothschild anti-Semitic and Warburg an anti-Semite, then don't you open your mouth against me. In a book titled None Dare Call It Conspiracy by Gary Allen and Larry Abraham on page 45, the question is asked, where do governments get the enormous amounts of money that they need? Most, of course, comes from taxation, but governments often spend more than they are willing to tax from their citizens, so governments are forced to borrow. The public is led to believe that the government borrows from the people through savings bonds. Actually, only the smallest percentage of the national debt is held by individuals in this form. Most government bonds, except those owned by the government itself through its trust funds, are held by vast banking firms known as international banks. For centuries, there has been big money to be made by international bankers in financing governments and kings. Such operators, however, are faced with certain thorny problems. We know that smaller banks operate to protect themselves by taking collateral. But what kind of collateral can you get from a government or a king? The process through which one collects a debt from a government or a monarch is not a subject taught in the business schools of the universities. And most of us, never having been in the business of financing kings or governments, have not given the problem much thought. But there's a king financing business. And to those who can ensure collection, it is a lucrative business. An economics professor named Stuart Crane notes that there are two means used to loan governments, money to governments and kings, and two means of collecting on that money. Whenever a business firm borrows big money, the creditor obtains an influence in management to protect its investment. Like a business, no government can borrow big money unless that government is willing to surrender to the creditor some of its sovereignty. Certainly, international bankers who have loaned hundreds of billions of dollars to governments around the world command considerable influence in the policies of such governments. But the ultimate advantage to this that the creditor has over a king or a president is that if the ruler gets out of line, the banker can finance his enemy or his rival. Therefore, if you want to stay in the lucrative financing business of kings and governments, it is wise to have an enemy or a rival waiting in the wings to unseat every king or every president to whom you lend money. If the king doesn't have an enemy, you got to be able to create one. Now I'm going to show you why America is in so much debt. The founding fathers of this nation said they did not want private control of a central bank because to them, such a bank would be the detriment of this democracy. Thomas Jefferson saw a privately owned central bank as worse than an opposing army. Thomas Jefferson wanted to keep America free from those things that led to the destruction of many nations and governments in Europe. And so a privately owned central bank was unthinkable to the founding fathers of this nation, and therefore it was written in the Constitution that only Congress should have the right to print the money and the instruments of credit. The debt of America is so great that greater hardship is now being planned by the government for the masses of the American people in order to make America solvent. Please, wake yourself up now. Come on. Come on. If you got to stand up and breathe, stand up. Stretch yourself. I'm winding this down, so come on, I don't want you to sleep now. Give me some water. Are you all right? Okay, sit down. You refreshed? Good, I am too. Let's get rolling. The great sweep in the November elections that brought the Republicans into the control of the Senate and the House of Representatives and the majority of the governor's mansion of this nation sent a message to the government that the American people are greatly disturbed over the course of this nation, and they all are seeking change. The majority of the American people may not know what change they want, but they definitely desire change for the better. The Republican Party has come up with a theme they call a contract with America. This contract or agreement is to reform the government in such a way where great amount of money can be saved, spending is to be brought in line, taxes are to be reduced. But this contract with America, to many seems, in gangster terminology, to be a contract on America, where the contract says the poor and the weak must be eliminated. There is no way that the Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, or Senator Dole, or the Republican Party can solve the problem of the tremendous debt of this nation without exposing the root of this problem and the conspiracy that brought America to her wretched debtor condition. Every home needs a balanced budget. A balanced budget means that we do not spend more than we take in or have debt greater than our ability to handle without over borrowing that will destroy the economy of our homes. Serious financial problems are at the root of most of our domestic quarrels. The tremendous stress on the breadwinners in the American family is such that this stress leads to spousal abuse. Women abusing the men, men abusing their wives, the abuse of the children, the breakup of the family. So balancing the budget at home is one of the keys to a stable family environment. Since this is so in individual homes, it is also true in the larger context, the country, the nation. The nation called America is going toward $5 trillion in public debt. This debt is so great that in order to balance the budget, such drastic cuts have to be made that the poor and the weak will suffer the most. So this contract with America is a contract on America's poor. Even the thought of raising the age level at which time the elderly will receive Social Security to 70 years of age is a sign that the Social Security of those who have paid into it is in deep trouble. The government, if it raises the age limit to 70, is betting that most of those who paid into this fund will never live to see 70 years of age, and therefore Social Security will not have to be paid. Thank you. This is a disgrace. But what is the root of the problem? How did America get into? You know, the president just sent a budget up to Congress of $1.6 trillion. Yet, in 1991, the last year that we have knowledge of what America took in taxes, America took in a little over $1 trillion in taxes, which means that if the budget this year or next year is going to be $1,600 billion, then where will the $600 billion come from to satisfy the budget? At this rate, if America cuts taxes and yet is increasing its budget, by the time Clinton leaves office, if he only has one term, the country will be $6 trillion in debt. At $4 trillion in debt, to pay the interest on that debt in 1991 was $288 billion, nearly 1/3 of what the government took in taxes. If the debt reaches $6 trillion, practically every penny that comes in tax revenue will have to be paid to service the debt, which technically means that the country will be bankrupt. This condition of great debt has placed America at the mercy of those to whom she is indebted. On page 47 of this same book, They Dare Call It Conspiracy, by Gary Allen and Mr. Abraham, it reads, listen, quote, since the keystone of the international banking empire has been government bonds, it has been in the interest of these international bankers to encourage government debt. The higher the debt, the more the interest. And nothing drives governments into debt like a war. And it has not been an uncommon practice among international bankers to finance both sides of the bloodiest military conflicts. For example, during the Civil War, the American North was financed by Rothschild through their American agent, August Belmont. And the American South was financed through the Erlangers, who were Rothschild's relatives. But while wars and revolutions have been used by international bankers in gaining or increasing control over governments, the key to such control has always been control of money. You can control a government if you have that government in your debt. A creditor is in a position to demand the privileges of monopoly from the sovereign. Oh man, this is heavy stuff. Governments that are seeking money have granted monopolies in state banking, natural resources, oil concessions, and transportation to the banks. However, the monopoly which the international financiers most covet is to gain control over a nation's money. Eventually, these international bankers actually owned as private corporations the central bank of various European nations. The Bank of England, the Bank of France, the Bank of Germany were not owned by their respective governments, as almost everyone imagined. They were privately owned monopolies granted by the head of state, usually in return for loans. Under this system, observed Reginald McKenna, president of the Midlands Bank of England, he said, quote, "Those that create and issue the money and credit."
Power to the people, yo. We back to do this maintenance. Power to the people, man. We back to do this maintenance. You know, power to the people, yo. We about to do maintenance. Yeah, we about to rock like crack when it came in. Power to the people. You know, all I can say is power to the people. All right. Yeah. Yes. Right here. We are up in the building. You know, we are up in the building, yo. Power to the people, yo. How y'all doing? You know, we are back up in the building. How y'all doing? Let me call in number per screen, yo. Power to the people. Let me see here if I got it queued.
He don't know that how shakes.
Yo, so, yo, the call-in number's right here. Before we get off into this, we got to go to point number one, which is Jemele Hill. All right, Jemele Hill is a crusty. She's a little ashy looking, homely looking chick. You know, where every real nigga in America, especially niggas who marry, niggas who got a little, you know, who got a little stable living situation, guys such as myself and friends of mine. So I ain't throwing nobody under the bus, ain't naming no names. You know, she's a little homely looking broad. You know what I mean? And every real nigga has a bitch that looks like this. All right? Where you slide through, she ain't never gonna be your main bitch. You ain't never gonna be in love with her. You don't really care about her. You just slide through, you know, get topped off, hit it now and then, you know. If she start becoming too demanding, you just have to let that bitch go. Every real nigga has a bitch who looks like this. All right? Now, some of y'all might be saying, well, Trent, why you coming in? Why so hard? Why so rough? Why so abrasive? Well, I was chilling in my crib this weekend, not doing a motherfucking thing as I love to do. And I get a video pop up that says Jemele Hill and Ed Gordon talk about R. Kelly. I said, so anyway, I go in, start listening to it, and I'm really shocked and appalled at some of the things that I hear. Really shocked and appalled at some of the things that I hear. What do you mean? Let me go back to that because I can't show y'all the video, but I'm gonna play the audio for y'all so that y'all know who's talking. So here we go.
So some of the names you interviewed, Nelson Mandela, O.J. Simpson, as you brought up, and what people maybe forget is that you were one of the first journalists I don't know who might have been before you, but I'll just say you were among the first journalists to have a sit down with R. Kelly. And this is when he initially, there were charged, it was after the tape, correct?
Yeah, it was his first television interview after the tape had surfaced.
Right.
You know, people had heard about it, hadn't seen it, then people saw it, and we got him to sit down. And there is another one of those things where you've got a beloved Black figure who if you ask certain questions may not come out in the best light. And I always say, and then you've got their handlers who want to tell you what you can and cannot ask. And my whole career has been shaped around, as most good journalists will do, no, I'm not going to agree not to ask. Your client cannot answer the question, but I might ask it. But yeah, that was one of those that, gained us a lot of attention. And it was maybe that first real crack in, the R. Kelly model. What was funny to me was when that came out, people was like, we gonna boycott and he ain't right. And then Chocolate Factory dropped.
They were like,
wait,
no,
not the
not
whole album, right?
Well, to your point about not being able to ask these tough questions, especially on a sensitive subject matter as this one, here's a clip from you asking R. Kelly about Aaliyah in particular. Now, and as you were doing that interview, well, one, how did you get it? What made R. Kelly? Because I will say this, like getting back real quickly to we were talking about Gayle King and people bring up, but she went after R. Kelly, but she didn't go after Harvey Weinstein. I'm like, first of all, nobody told R. Kelly's dumbass that interview. Nobody did. All right, you have to agree to do it. She has interviewed Harvey Weinstein's lawyer and one of his accusers. That was already done, but R. Kelly has made himself available, right. So it is. And what you better
believe if she could have sat down with Harvey Weinstein, she would have.
Everybody and their mama trying to get that interview. Like that is his lawyer is just smart enough that he's not sitting down with anybody. So anyway, I again, as I asked you, how did you wind up getting this?
So it was a time where everybody was going after R. Kelly, and I think that there are a couple of people in the industry that kind of make a name for themselves. That if you want to talk to somebody here, 10 people you want to go to, and at the time, BET had a greater position than they have now because white folk didn't care about Black people in the news back then. See, now TMZ would have it, or Extra would have it, or he'd go on, a white show. Back then, they didn't care about R. Kelly. So it wasn't important. And so when the tape broke, his people realized we got to talk to somebody. And I'm sure he probably had talked to some disc jockeys and some other things, but I think they wanted somebody who they felt would give some credibility to the interview and some weight to it. And to her credit, my who's still with me today, my booker, Carol Johnson Green, never gave up on trying to get R. Kelly. I kept saying, he ain't talking, forget him, he ain't. She just kept going and kept going and kept going. And one day she literally burst into my office. I thought somebody had died, literally. I was like, she was screaming and yelling, we got it, we got it, we got it. And we got it. And so we flew out and sat down with him. And it was amazing to me because, the denial was there. He kept telling me he didn't look at the tape. And I said, well, why would you look at the tape? And he said, well, if I know I didn't do it, why would I look at the tape? I said, dude, if somebody looked that much like me, I would absolutely want to see what they look like. And, when we were done, again, when that red light goes off, he kept saying to me, you believe me, Ed, don't you? You believe me? And I said, dude, it's not for me to believe you or not believe you. I said, I will tell you this. I might have said this on the air. I said, if that were my daughter, I'm looking for you. That's how much it looks like you.
Because his original claim was his brother. He tried to get his brother to take the rap for him, and
but we are culpable in that too.
Oh,
right?
No question.
Because Black people had heard the whispers about R. Kelly.
The Aaliyah thing was like, we acted like that didn't even happen.
Let's just assume that he really loved Aaliyah. Back in the day, people were marrying 16-year-olds, and I don't mean that day, but back in the day, right. Further back than that. But I will say this: let's give him that anomaly. Let's just say that was the one, and whatever special connection they had, as weird as it might seem, let's give him that one. It's the rest of them that caused real problems that we knew, okay, we can't just give him Aaliyah if we're hearing about this one, this one, this one, and this one. And so at some level, though, because of his genius, we were able to look away. It's the same thing, God rest his soul, with Michael Jackson. Another person that I did a story on. We were never able to sit down with him per se, but Johnny Cochran was a mentor of mine, and he wanted to do a story when he was representing Michael from their perspective, what a day at Neverland was, right? So I flew out to the ranch and walked around with Michael and the kids. But again, let that Michael Jackson be the postman Michael Jackson, not the superstar. We'd have run that dude out on a rail. You having sleepovers with 11 and 12 and 13-year-olds? No, that ain't happening in my neighborhood. But Michael Jackson, it's a whole nother thing. So society has some culpability in all of this too.
Well, I mean, considering like as much as people have tried to make R. Kelly into the victim, to your point, do you realize that there ain't a black man out there that could be victimizing women for 30 years, and nobody say a word and get away with it, or everybody's just like, just something that happened like that. He got away with that a long time. Same thing with Bill Cosby. This is a long time. So that's what happened when you not just have talent, but you have the money to defend what you do and you provide something. It's a lot of people out there still, they not giving up Step in the Name of Love. It just ain't happening.
Listen,
and hey, that's on you, you know?
And I still, listen, I will play his music in my house. I won't buy it anymore.
Right.
I will not go to another concert.
Right.
But I'm not going, if you said to me, because I had this argument with a friend of mine, you can't listen to R. Kelly, no. So I said, okay, well, let's go turn off every freak out there that you can't buy a record, watch a TV show, watch a movie, see how many people you come up with.
Well, we wouldn't be watching or listening to a lot. But R. Kelly's, man, because now it's like so ingrained that he is a monster. Like, I can't even do it, man. And especially his earlier stuff, which feel like a blueprint to him which him about his life. Oh,
there's some truth to
you know, I really can't. So it's
sorry.
I know.
I'm still bumping it in the crib. I ain't giving him no money though.
No more money.
No more
That's
money.
right. That's the more important part.
So, you know, what you just heard was Jemele Hill. Jemele Hill is a former host of ESPN. Okay. She was a former host of ESPN, the sports channel. She was a host on shows like Get Up, First Take at some points, works with the like of Kerry Champion, Michael Smith, things of that nature. Okay. Now, what you are seeing is her starting to backtrack on her words, because essentially she got fired from ESPN for calling Trump a white supremacist. Okay? All right, she got fired for calling Donald Trump a white supremacist. Okay? Now, let me show you what got her fired. Okay. Jemele Hill got fired for calling Donald Trump a white supremacist. Okay. All right. Matter of fact, that ain't even the one. Okay. I'm sorry. This was a series of tweets. I'm sorry. Here you go. Apologize to the people for giving y'all the wrong tweet. Let me get y'all the right one. Now, what you see right here is you see that Jemele Hill is right back trying to throw R. Kelly under the bus because, as you see right here, she has some testicular, or you know what, females ain't got balls. All right, she has some ovarian fortitude, and she said that Donald Trump was a racist. She called him a racist, and that he's a direct result of white supremacy. All right, this was in 2017, so that was 3 years ago. All right, now I wanna show y'all something, right? I wanna show y'all something. I wanna show y'all something, okay? Okay. Let me show y'all something. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Damn. You know how you see somebody that's so goddamn ugly, it's hard to find a good picture of them. It's hard to find a good picture of her. Shit. Fuck, we're gonna have to use this one. We're gonna have to. It's about the best one I'm seeing right now. All right, y'all. I'm sorry about that. All right, now. Y'all call her tranny. Shit. Now, this is Jemele Hill. This was back when she was working for ESPN. Back when she was eating off the slave master table. This is back when she was eating off the slave master's table. Thank you, Miss Connor. Thank you. All right. All right. This is her when she was at the eating off the slave master's table. She was getting the crumbs off the slave master's table. Okay. She's happy looking here. All right. You see, she's looking very, 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 very. You know, she's slender and, you know, as good as she could look, she's looking as good as she can look. You know, like I say, she ain't ugly, ugly, ugly. She just ain't the first bitch a nigga gonna call on a Friday night. Maybe the third or fourth, but ain't the first or second. Ain't she like the chick where all your other chicks is out doing something, But you like, you know what? Fuck it. I guess I go on here and call Jemele. All right. Now, that was her when she was with the slave master. Okay. This is Jemele today. This is Jemele today. She looking a little Whoopi Goldbergish. When you say, exactly, Southside Slim. Exactly. 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 This is how she looked today. All right. Look on the Whoopi Goldberg side of the game. You know, she look a little dusty, if I might say so myself. And to circle the block, to get back to square point number one, let's go here. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm ready to go right now. Now, when you start hearing her go up against R. Kelly, I guess when she had all of the balls to say this about Donald Trump, all of that shit is gone now. All of this energy right here is gone. Where'd it go to? The world wants to know. The streets would like to know. In the words of R. Kelly, it's one thing we got to know. Oh, shit. Listen. Jemele Hill I will repeat. Jemele Hill she wants back in. Okay? She wants back in. Like, let's really talk about this. She really wants back in, you know, and if you want to express how you feel about the situation before we get off into the other stuff, then, you know, come on, man. Yeah. If you really want to express yourself, you're more than welcome to call in. All right? You're more than welcome to call in. All right? Now, she got fired from ESPN. All right? We ain't off of her ass. Okay? We ain't off of her ass. Because essentially what happened is she was on air partners. All right? Now, no. Let's really see. Let's really get up into this. Now, is Trump a white supremacist? I think that he's an old ass white man and he caters to his base. His base is white supremacists. Does that make he himself a white supremacist? No, I don't think so. I think that he echoes the sentiments of what old 75-year-old white men think. That's just me being honest. I think that he echoes the sentiment of what 75-year-old white men think. He came up during the time of oppression, of segregation. He was born in what, the 40s? What year was Trump born? He was born in 1946. He was born in 1946. I challenge y'all to go find any 74-year-old white man who ain't racist, who ain't gonna say no shit that make you go, Okay? Okay? Now, be that as it may, when she came up against, I got this. When she came up against Donald Trump, some calls got made, and her ass, she got canned because, again, you cannot eat from the slave master's table. What's going on, Bird? And be against the slave master. Okay? All right? I wish it's over in your email. You can't eat from the slave master's table and talk about the slave master. All right? But how is that different than anything else in human nature? Are you going to let somebody in your house that you know is like, fuck you, you ain't shit, motherfuckers basically throwing salt on your name, and you going to continue working with them? Nah, Trump did what he does. He made a couple of calls. They don't give a fuck about this little nigga bitch. Again, opinionated is raw. I'll tell it to you the way that they said it. Listen, the nigger bitch is over here tripping. All right. They already had suspended her prior to that. Okay. They had already suspended her prior to that. Okay. All right. So let me show you. Let me show you here. Let me show y'all what preceded these. Let me show you what preceded what preceded this. All right, now she had got suspended from her job at ESPN, and she was in hot water over the Trump comments. Then she went in and she called out Jerry Jones. Okay. All right. Now, she called out Jerry Jones. All right. Many of y'all may not know who Jerry Jones is. So let me give you a visual representation of who he is. Now, some of y'all gonna know who he is because y'all are for real, football fans. But those of y'all who aren't, okay, those of y'all who aren't, I'm gonna go ahead and make it do what it do, baby. Okay, there we go. Okay. Here we go. Now, Jerry Jones is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. This man is worth $9 billion. $9 billion. Trump only worth Trump is only worth $2.1 billion. Okay? Trump is only worth $2.1 billion. Wishbone. This ain't, yeah, he's married. Yeah, he married. He's still gonna do something for two something though. Yeah, he's still gonna do something for two something. He worth $9 billion. Listen, freedom of speech is cool, but you cannot eat with the oppressor, be financed and funded by the oppressor, and then speak out against the oppressor. That ain't freedom of speech. That's just against your own personal interests. It's against your own personal interests. Okay? So I'm just telling you, my loyalty is to the bag. Okay? My loyalty is to the bag. Steve Harvey told Monique some gangster shit. Let me see if I can pull it up. Okay? Steve Harvey told Monique some gangster shit. Let's see it. Let's see here. Let's see right here. Started getting. Steve Harvey told Monique in a speech, he said, the best thing I can do for the hood is not be in the hood. Okay? This is the same thing I said about Nick Cannon. Is once you get your seat at the goddamn table, you have to stay at the table once you get your seat at the table. It is stupid to not sit at the table. I'm the most rebellious, rambunctious, fearless ass nigga you will ever meet in your motherfucking life. I walked straight up to the goddamn jail door and told them bring R. Kelly down. I ain't telling you no shit that came from my mind. I'm telling you shit that you could go and video proof and verify it. Okay? You can look at it and verify it. I got the soul of Nat Turner. You feel me? I come from that same ancestral lineage as the Haitian revolutionaries. Dessalines. However, once you get to the door, you stay knocking at that door for so long. You gotta go in that house. All right? You got to go into that house. Period. I'm gonna tell y'all something deep. This ain't no secret, no nothing. I gotta talk about this. I got several degrees behind me. Information security. Then worked on some of the most complex, advanced, sophisticated systems in the world. IT systems in the world. Matter of fact, not some of, the most. Okay? The most complex system in the world. The number one thing that you always have to protect against, and I tell you this on your first 2 to 3 days when you start learning about IT security. They say it don't matter how many safeguards you put in place, your biggest threat is the insider threat. meaning that the person that can destroy the system the best is the person that is inside the system. The person who is at the best advantage to destroy the fucking system is the person who is inside of the goddamn system. Like, for real. For real. Like, come on, man. You don't start, you gotta climb Jacob's ladder. Every step take you higher and higher and higher. All right? That's just the way that this shit works. I ain't talking to you from as a scary ass nigga over here. I'm talking to you as somebody who didn't fought these wolves. And I ain't the type of nigga to back down. I'm a pit bull that stands at the end of the leash. I don't need artificial pressure. I don't need nothing. I'm a pit bull that stand at the end of the leash and tear motherfucker up. Period. However, you get these Jemele Hill people who they want the fruits of the slave master's table, but then when the slave master starts showing you that they the slave master, you're like, I'm gonna speak out against the slave man. No. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna let Steve Harvey encapsulate this. A lot of folks had problems with this, but we're gonna have to go here. We're gonna have to go here, people.
Labeled as difficult.
Yes.
Why do you believe that happened? And do you see that changing, and why?
I got labeled as difficult. My husband and my husband is Sydney, who happens to be my manager. We got labeled as difficult because I said one word, and that was no. I said no to some very powerful people. I said no to Oprah Winfrey. I said no to Tyler Perry. I said no to Lee Daniels, and I said no to Lionsgate. And the difficulty came in when people that look like me, like Oprah, Tyler, Lee Daniels, and I gotta put my brother Steve on the list. Y'all knew I was not wrong. Each one of you said to me, Monique, you're not wrong. And when I heard you go on the air and you said, my sister done burnt too many bridges and there's nothing I can do for her now. Steve, do you know how hurt I was?
But Simone, now let me give you this. Because you and I had this conversation, I thought you went about it wrong. See, I felt that you had done yourself a disservice by the way you chose to go about it.
Tell me how I went about it.
I was cool with you, with your deal with Netflix. I was cool with you. The two problems that we had, number one, the boycott of Netflix.
Yes.
We never gave people a pullback. Okay, if we're gonna boycott, are we gonna not get subscriptions? Are we gonna turn it off? Or are we gonna go down there and get signs? The second point, what was coming to me was, this problem that you had in Netflix is rich people problems. Because they're looking at us going, you talking about you didn't get millions, or you got this, you ought to be cool.
But when you say, Mo, it's the way you went about it. And I want to explain that, and I thank you for saying that. Inequality is devastating, and it's extreme. And when people said, Monique, do you think calling a boycott was extreme? You damn right. But isn't inequality extreme? So we've got to get to a place where we're unafraid to say it out loud. Okay. What I would have loved, what I would have appreciated from my brother was had you picked up the phone before you went on the air and said, Monique, you've burned too many bridges and there's nothing I can do. See, I would have appreciated had my brother called me up and said, baby, let's talk. Because you doing that was a part of me being difficult.
But now, before that though.
Yes, baby.
Remember the moment on stage?
Oh, yes.
See, now that
right was a wonderful moment.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, my goodness.
No, it wasn't.
That was one of those moments.
See, no, it wasn't.
Richard Pryor whispered in my ear and said, say it. You say it.
Richard
because
Pryor did not tell you to say that.
Yes, he
with
did.
Crazy
Oh, baby. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I do not regret, as I said on the Steve Harvey show, I do not regret one moment of that night on that stage.
No, in case you don't know, Mo told Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey,
Tell him.
and Lee Daniels to suck her private parts.
Not my private parts.
Well, you said if I had one, I want them three to suck my private parts.
Yeah.
It wasn't private parts stage. So now, then I went, I quit breathing. I quit breathing for you.
I didn't.
What happened to you, Mo, was when you made that statement, the narrative got flipped. It wasn't about Netflix no more. It wasn't about Netflix no more. The attention was all off of where we needed to go. Huh?
That was before Netflix.
So good. So now when you bring up Netflix, it doesn't get no win, but you just said this to these three people. And these three people, not because they're powerful, but because of who they've come. And what happens is, I told you, we can't cure darkness with more darkness.
What we can do is cure it with comedy. And what I'm not going to do, Steve, I'm never, ever going to waver from my comedy show on that stage. That's my gift, and that's my freedom. And what happens is, when you allow people to start taking your freedom and your gift and making it become what makes them comfortable, we then lose. When you called me with the morning show on the phone, I said to you, Steve, my family is suffering behind this. And y'all know I did nothing wrong. Y'all know my husband did nothing wrong. But none of y'all in real time, was strong enough to go publicly and say, we can't throw our sister under the bus.
Because, Mo, listen to me. We fighting two wars here.
What war?
There's two wars. It's what your issue is, and it's what the perception of the issue is, and the narrative has changed.
See, I'm hearing what you're saying, baby, and I agree with it when the narrative changes. But if all of y'all said, this is the only issue I have with it, baby, when all of y'all said privately, to include Oprah, all of y'all said privately, I've done nothing wrong.
When you tell the truth, you have to deal with the repercussions of the truth. We black out here. We can't come out and do it any kind of way we want to. Listen to me. Your husband can't be the Sydney that he really is out here.
Let me tell you something.
That flexing, we got to flex a different way. We out here in a game. This the money game. This ain't the black man's game. This ain't the white man's game. This is the money game.
But
we in the money game. And you can sacrifice yourself. The best thing you can do for poor people is not be one of them. You cannot help them.
We're in the money game, but let me tell you what the game is before the money game.
Like
before the money game, it's called the integrity game. And we've the integrity.
This ain't the black.
Listen, I gotta repeat this part for y'all because he just dropped a bomb on her with what he said right here. This is the money game. It's not the black man's game. It's not the white man's game. It is the money game.
That flexing, we got to flex a different way. We out here in a game. This the money game. This ain't the black man's game. This ain't the white man's game. This is the money game. We in the money game. And you cannot sacrifice yourself. The best thing you can do for poor people is not be one of them. You cannot help them.
We're in the money game, but let me tell you what the game is before the money game. Before the money game, it's called the integrity game. And we've lost the integrity worrying about the money.
But Mo,
wait a minute.
If I crumble, my children crumble, my grandchildren crumble. I cannot, for the sake of my integrity, stand up here and let everybody that's counting on me crumble so I can make a statement. There are ways to win the war in a different way. Here is what I want you to understand about this whole thing.
Yes.
As we try to come through this, because what I want really is for you to come through, because I know who you really are. And so what I want you to do is come through this with a different way. Because you, Monique, you my girl. I love you like a sister. I hate what's happening to you. I hate what they're saying that's not true. I want them to know that you are caring, that you're a great mother, that you're an incredible talent. I don't like the fact that you've been blackballed. You can be unblackballed. You too talented to have to worry about all this where the next one coming from. I want this to end for you. Well, I want it to end for you, Monique, because I love you. Because these people are doing it the wrong way, and you better than that. You are better than that. I probably should have called you as soon as, but I didn't. I got a lot of stuff going on, so I didn't. When I did call you, I listened to you. But I began telling you at the very beginning, I think we're going about this the wrong way. Now, we keep saying stuff in the interim that keeps just making it worse. Hollywood know you
But
talented.
it's making it worse for who?
It's making it worse.
For who?
Okay, if you think cool, then it's cool.
That's what I'm saying.
But it's not cool, Mo.
For who?
It's not cool.
For who?
The fact that we sitting here arguing like this.
We're not arguing.
Okay, we're discussing.
You and your sister, we having a conversation and mommy and daddy ain't here right now.
Cool.
And I'm getting ready to punch you in your mouth.
Right.
That's the conversation. Bam, bam. Right. I think what happens though is I've had to understand how to agree to disagree without being upset. And that's the thing. I disagree with my brother. I'm not upset with you. I love you. I disagree with the way Oprah, Lee, and Tyler did it.
Cool.
But I love them.
I'll give you that. Now, guess what we need to do to move forward and fix this?
Come on.
These people owe you an apology. You owe those people an apology. Then we can move forward. Mo, listen to me. You are valuable to us all. You are valuable to Tyler Perry. You are valuable to Oprah, to Lee Daniels. We can't do this without talent. See, me and you, we talent. They can't do this without us. You take us out of Hollywood, they have to close some doors around here. It is not the same without us.
Yes.
You are too valuable. I don't want to lose your gift to the world.
You won't.
Because we're trying to prove a point when we can prove the point by doing it in a more loving way. That's all I want, man.
I absolutely agree with you. 100%. The only way I know how to do it is loving, because that's all that's in my heart.
Okay.
Now, when I say it, you may not like how I say it.
But see, if it's in your heart,
Yes.
love sound like love.
Yes. Yes.
See, that's what. So,
Yes.
so if it don't sound like it when you say it,
See.
that's cause it ain't. So this one we're gonna close out like this. I'm gonna try and arrange. I'm gonna do my best to get the conversations that need to be had between you and these people, so you can hear from them. I'm gonna then ask them would they say it publicly for the benefit of everybody, so you can get the release that you need. Then I'm gonna ask you to tell these people and apologize for some bashing you done. I know you don't think you did none, but you did. And when everybody can come to that, then I think there's a chance for it to move. I love you, Mo. I'm glad you came to see me. Looking back on it, I should have picked up the phone and called you more readily.
I appreciate
I probably should have done that. Just looking on it, that's probably what I should have did.
That's all I wanted.
But I didn't. So now I'm here and moving forward as your big brother. I just want to help you, Mo. I swear to God, I didn't come here to bash you. I love you. I wish you well. And let's heal this thing and move forward so the world can see how great we all are.
Be that as it may, we still ain't lost focus. We still ain't lost focus. That ain't even where I wanted to go. That is not where your boy wanted to go. We got to go right back here. Okay. Let me get this off. We got to go right back here. We are in the money game. All right, we are in the money game. So when we speaking about Jemele Hill went and started talking about the oppressor and fucked the bag up. She fucked the bag up. Now she's coming out here. She's trying to throw R. Kelly under the bus because she fucked her own bag up. Tweeting dumbass shit like this. Okay? You can't tweet that shit. I don't care what nobody says. You can't tweet that type of shit. It's not conducive. I don't see how that helps anything that you're trying to do when you're tweeting shit like that. I mean, some of y'all might disagree. That's cool. That's fine. You know, that's all right. Everybody ain't supposed to agree with me. Okay, everybody not supposed to agree with me. I like it when folks don't agree with me personally. Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. Yeah, one second. Give me 1 second, please. All right. Let's see here. 1 second. I just gotta clear some things out.
And credit, direct the policies of the government and hold in their hands the destiny of the people. Now, most of you think, most Americans think that the Federal Reserve banking system is owned by the federal government as the representatives of the American people. But the Federal Reserve Bank is a privately owned banking institution. On page 59 of this same book, it reads, the Federal Reserve controls our money supply and interest rates and thereby manipulates the entire economy, creating inflation or deflation, recession or boom, sending the stock market up or down at whim. The Federal Reserve is so powerful. The former Congressman Wright Patman, who was the former chairman of the House Banking Committee, said, in the United States, we have in effect two governments. We have the duly constituted government. Then we have an independent, uncontrolled, uncoordinated government in the Federal Reserve System, operating the money powers which are reserved to Congress by the Constitution. Neither presidents, nor congressmen, nor secretaries of the Treasury direct the Federal Reserve. In the matters of money, the Federal Reserve directs them. This was written about 30 years ago. But is it so today? Recently, the chairman of the Federal Reserve Board, Mr. Alan Greenspan, came before Congress to hint to the Congress that the Fed would raise interest rates again. So for the 7th time in a year, interest rates have been raised. The chairman of the board of General Motors and Ford is now seeking an audience with Mr. Greenspan to plead with him not to raise the interest rates any further. And if Mr. Greenspan agrees, this will be the first time, according to what we have read, that the Federal Reserve has agreed to sit down directly with the heads of business. The Federal Reserve sits down with the heads of government. Why would business plead to the Federal Reserve not to raise interest rates? Why couldn't Congress order the Federal Reserve not to raise the interest rates? If you watch Congress, when they deal with Mr. Greenspan, they don't play with him, because Mr. Greenspan is the representative of a shadow government that literally dictates the monetary policies of this nation. Now, do you remember a few weeks ago when the Mexican peso was in trouble? Against the wishes of the American people and the Congress, President Clinton ordered $20 billion of the American taxpayers' money to be used to bail out the peso. But who was President Clinton helping? Was he acting on his own? Or was he being directed by powerful forces that the American people don't know anything about? According to what we have read, the bailout don't save the common Mexican peasant. The bailout doesn't save the poor businessman of Mexico. It saves the international bankers who have invested heavily in Mexico. Who ordered the bailout? Go ahead. Since the president is supposed to act on the will of the American people, and the American people said no, and the Congress said no, who told Clinton you better do it? You know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that the Prime Minister of England may appear to be the leader, but he goes back behind the door to unseen forces that direct his motion. And believe it or not, so it is with the American president. The American people feel.
Now, apologize. You know, that was my it was a personal call that I had to take. But let's get right back on focus. Now, some of y'all may not want to hear this or may not accept this. However, what Steve told Monique was some real shit. What he said was some real shit. Okay. I want to go back to that one more time, and I want to talk about that. I really want to talk about this.
That he really is out here.
Let me tell you something.
That flexing,
we
got to flex a different way. We out here in a game. This the money game. This ain't the black man's game. This ain't the white man's game. This is the money game. But we in the money game. And you cannot sacrifice yourself. The best thing you can do for poor people is not be one of them. You cannot help them. We're in the money game. But let me tell you what the game is before the money game. Before the money game, it's called the integrity game. And we've lost the integrity worrying about the money. But Mo,
wait a minute.
If I crumble, my children crumble, my grandchildren crumble. I cannot, for the sake of my integrity, stand up here and let everybody that's counting on me crumble so I can make a statement. There are ways to win the war in a different way.
What he just said was very powerful. It was very powerful. You know, and what we call that, what me and my pops call that is he started talking wolf language to the sheep. He started talking wolf language to sheep. He was speaking to her as a military general, okay? He was speaking to her as a general, okay? When you are in the leader's position, when you are in the leadership position, you are in the front line position of winning your race, winning your fight, winning your battle. You have to, what's going on, Tawana? When you are in a leadership position, you take, you have to think about the whole entire fleet that is behind you, the whole entire army that's behind you. Y'all know I wanted to go to New York. Labor Day weekend, 3 weeks. But Andrew Cuomo said that he's locking it down. Now, there are specific loopholes, there are specific ways and things like that that I could flex and get my black ass into New York. But what do that say for those who are going to be behind me? Okay, I, as the leader of it, I can't tell people to go up in here and break the rules and do this, that, and the third so that I could prove a point. I can't tell y'all to do that. All right, I wouldn't do that because I have to take into account if I got 50 people out there, there's 50 opportunities. That's 50 families. That's 50 situations, 50 people that are dependent on these 50 people who will be going with me. All right, it's irresponsible. Jemele Hill and Monique are irresponsible. Okay, the problem with Monique is that Monique has a husband who supports every little thing that she wants to do and flows with her emotional ass whims. If that's your husband ain't supposed to sit up in here and just flow with your emotional ass whims. We trying to win a goddamn war. The best way to infiltrate your opposition is from inside of your opposition's camp. Period. The more that you talk, the more you have to be personal. So I'm gonna tell y'all something, right? I could not deal with somebody who is not a team player. When you're a team player, you have to roll with the punches. You have to do things that you don't necessarily want to do because it's the best thing for the team, for the collective goal, for the collective purpose. Okay? It's the best thing for the collective goal. All right? Period. My fault. I'm trying to get this goddamn lighting together. It's the best thing for the collective goal. If you have somebody who feels that they are outside of that collective, then you have a loose cannon in your midst, okay? You have a potential traitor amongst you, all right? And you can't just go off and say things that are not conducive with the overall goal. Who else is guilty of this? Who else is guilty of this? Who else is guilty of this? I'm gonna tell y'all who else is guilty of this. There you go. There you go. There you go. Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon wanted to speak out against the oppressor. I'm gonna tell y'all, listen. In the law, they got something that's called you can't unring a bell. All right, meaning you can't unsay it. All right. Well, where does this come into place at? All right. If y'all ever know anybody that has any type of chemical dependency, right? Whether it's alcohol, drugs, women, sex, any type of thing that it will be considered a weakness, then you have to actively guard and govern yourself against those things, right? You have to guard and govern yourself against those things. Period. You got to guard and govern yourself against it. Period. All right? You have to guard and govern yourself against it. All right? Now, people will say the most hateful, disparaging, evil shit, and then we say that, oh, I was drunk when I said it. Like that's supposed to forgive the Miss Dillons. You said what you said, and you meant what you said when you said what you said. We have to hold people to a standard. Okay? We have to start holding our people to a standard. And we have a big problem in our community where we start holding our people to a standard. Most of our problems comes in when we start holding our people to the standard. Okay? Once we start holding our people to the standard, that's where the problem comes in. Now, each one of these people that I have mentioned here, with the exception of Monique, have said something disparaging against R. Kelly, who's a black man that's owed $900 million. Okay? They had comments that said against a black man. Okay, they had something to say against a black man. Right? And they all got their nigga wake-up calls. Well, Steve Harvey, regardless of how we feel about what he said, regardless of how much of a coon we want to call Steve Harvey told Monique some real shit. Steve Harvey's mind was on that bag. Your mind got to be on that bag, man. And getting that shit the most ethical, legal way that you know how to. All right? Not stealing from a R. Kelly defense fund. That's not a deplorable way or honorable way to get that bag. Regardless of how y'all feel, Steve got fired from NBC and got a bigger contract with Facebook. Steve on Watch is bigger than him being on NBC. You may not be able to watch TV at work. It ain't no job you can go to where Facebook is banned. So with Steve Harvey being on Facebook, once NBC got rid of him, Facebook picked him up. The NBC shit, the National Broadcasting Company, that's the old way. People ain't consuming that shit no more. I got 4,000 YouTube subscribers. All right. Those 4,000 people, they ain't watching TV like that. All right. People are on YouTube. They on Facebook. They on Twitter. That's what the new wave is. Hate to tell y'all, but that's what the new wave is. Hello? Hello? Yes. Hello? Yeah, so, however, when we go here, man, what we begin to see is we see that we have people who are easily led astray. All right. And he told her the most gangster shit ever. Regardless of how we want to feel, he told her the most gangster shit ever. Now, where am I ultimately building to? For this particular segment, we got to build to here. Now, some of y'all may not know this brother. This brother's name is Michael Smith. Okay? This dude's name is Michael Smith. All right? Michael Smith. Now, Michael Smith and her were leading the flagship program of the ESPN network, which is SportsCenter. Okay. Any woman who pussy is remotely good knows what SportsCenter is. You know, because men is simple. You feed them, fuck them, give them a sandwich, and have some SportsCenter. The average heterosexual dude is going to be happy. Feed them, get that nigga shit. You ain't gotta be cooking whole Sunday dinners. Goddamn, you can have a good sandwich and some potato chips. Shit, some Kool-Aid, some apple juice, some Hawaiian punch, if that's too much to put together. Nice little comfortable couch and some SportsCenter. Those are 5 things to get the average dude to fuck with you. All right. You can even be the lousiest hoe in the streets. Feed a nigga. Nice comfortable couch. A little bit of SportsCenter. Some good pussy and then occasional back rub. Those 5 things will get you a man. Shit. Hey, even ugly chicks know this. When y'all be looking and y'all be seeing ugly women getting married, tell you they know about that occasional back rub, that nice comfortable couch, them sandwiches, something to drink. Look what's in there. Hey, that is what gets you. That's what gets you in the number. All right. You get a nigga some SportsCenter. That nigga is gonna be happy than a sissy with a bag of dicks. All right, I'm just keeping it 1,000 with y'all. Now, what am I saying that for? Jemele Hill was the anchor of SportsCenter. She was the anchor of SportsCenter. Okay, before she got fired from ESPN, she was the anchor of SportsCenter. Okay? She was the anchor of SportsCenter. Okay? And the reality of it is Smith and ESPN have agreed to a buyout on his contract. A long time ESPN personality has been mostly off earth since him and Hill's The Six SportsCenter was canceled. Smith is the new executive vice president, content creator, and co-laboratory in a new LA studio startup focused on developing original content about sports, featuring athletes and storytellers. All right. I'm just gonna keep this all the way 100. All right. I am all for black businesses. But this nigga ain't want to start this shit up. He ain't want to start this shit up. Hold on. Let me. Okay. All right. So let's listen to him. Let's listen to him. Let's listen to this dude talk about this. Okay, so here we go. All right, I got you.
I do want to, kind of ask you about some stuff with ESPN, obviously. Yeah. You're on the outside now, but when you look at it, you mentioned ESPN as like X.
Yeah.
How do you see them right now on the outside?
I am I'm grateful. I'm sorry. How do I see them relates to me?
Okay,
How do I see them as a company?
How do you see them as it relates to you and your professional career?
Yep.
And then how do you see them as a company?
How do I see them as it relates to my professional career? I see them as the reason I'm with you right now, the reason you're interested in having me on the show, the reason I have a fancy title at Collaboratory. I appreciate the platform, appreciate the experience, I appreciate the relationships. I appreciate how it ended. Because, okay, going back, let's just with the relationship analogy. Truth be told, so somebody told me a long time ago, if you miss talent, you could always be replaced. So in the back of my mind, I always thought about some kind of hybrid or some kind of evolution into an executive role. That was always in the back of my mind. But that said, I did also think about, I'm going to leave this place before they get rid of me. That was always my goal. And I'm into even numbers, like the temperature has to be on even number on the thermostat. I pumped even numbers, even if it means I'm get spewing out of the tank matter. Got to get to zeros at the end of it, or maybe a multiple of 5, something like that. Anyway, tangent.
An OCD thing?
Probably. So anyway, 15 years, 40 years old. So funny. Never knew it would happen like this. But a while back, I started thinking, like, when I'm 40, I want to kind of reassess what I want to do. And that's when things were going well at ESPN. So, but I'm glad that it ended the way it did, uncomfortably, awkwardly, painfully at times, because much like with a relationship, sometimes they got to break up with you. And it's the best thing that ever happened to you, but you wouldn't have walked away based off the devil familiarity, comfort, history. You stay together for the kids, whatever. You got a house in each other's name, whatever it is, right? Likewise, sometimes somebody got to dog you. They got to cheat on you. Shit's got to go bad for you to leave. And then you get to the numbers and you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I got out of that relationship, even though there were some good things about the relationship, because now I'm in a better place that I would not have been. Because the last thing John Skipper told me before he left was, he said, Mike could be the co-Bryant of this. He was like, you can spend your entire career here. Because again, I got in there when I was 25. So I got up there. And I think if not for the way it ended, I really believe that there was a subconscious level of complacency that would have set in. The platform, the status, the salary, the security. We love our house in our neighborhood in Connecticut. I wouldn't have left for a startup. I'd have never been inclined to meet Amy and discuss the startup with her. I'd have probably been at the 50-year celebration, maybe out of stage, maybe right next to Berman or somebody. So so professionally, I'm thankful for everything happened for me and to me at ESPN. As a company, how did I see him? As competition now. But I also, not in competition, I shouldn't say competition, I see him as a buyer. And I see this as somebody that I want to do business with, that I want to develop content that they're inclined to buy, whether it's for linear ESPN or ESPN Plus or whatever it is. I see them as somebody that I want to be able to go back to those offices as Chief Content Officer and Executive Vice President. And here I have this project that I think you'd be interested in buying. So that's professionally how I see them. And as competition, as another entity in the marketplace, I see them as evolving, like all of us have to. I mean, these streaming wars are changing everything. And so I think, Jimmy Pitaro and that team are doing everything they can to really make sure, because ESPN, to its credit, has always, again, been the worldwide leader in sports. And so I think that not only to keep up with the evolution within the industry, but lead the way as best it can when it comes to evolving it within it.
But at the same point, you also said that there was no more room for growth for there.
It was not, no. Yeah, so why not?
It just, they seem to be maybe in the trajectory that you are. You said you might want to have them as a pair, but they being there in particular, you wouldn't have been able to be as creative.
Oh God, no. And that's specific to me and my circumstances. I mean, obviously, that's a lot to unpack. We're going to need more drinks and more time for that. Yeah. But it's in terms
we have
of
both of those things.
Yeah, but in terms of me, again, I've worn so many hats there. I've been a reporter. I've been an NFL insider. I've been an investigative reporter. I've been a host. I've been an anchor. I've been a personality. I've had my own show. I've anchored sports centers. Like, how much was there for me to do?
Right.
But not just that. Frankly, there weren't a lot of opportunities available to me at this point, for whatever reason. They did not make the type of opportunities available to me that interested me or excited me in terms of continuing my relationship there. So it was a good time. It was a good time for both of us to part ways. I think, look, man, somebody also said everything ends badly, otherwise it wouldn't end. And so, you know, there's no animus by any means, because I'm thankful, because again, if not in that position that I was in, that position of being able to step back from the daily grind, that hamster, and that because again, if not in, there's no animus.
Now pay attention to right here where he's trying to explain away the bullshit. He's trying to service all sides and explain away this bullshit. I'm gonna let y'all listen to it one more time.
By any means, because I'm thankful, because again, if not in that position that I was in, that position of being able to step back from the daily grind, that hamster wheel, get off that ride and actually look around and say, wait, is this the park I want to be in, or do I want to go to another spot, or what do I want to do? Because
what the fuck is he talking about?
I'm not in a position where I am now, where I'm freer and more energized and more excited to go to work than I've ever been.
Right.
He's trying to explain this shit away, all right? He's trying to explain this shit away, but we're going to come right back and get right back center focus. Now, when Jemele Hill, the person who had so much to say about R. Kelly, when she decided to pull a move, it not only affected her, but it affected him. They not together. They just people who know each other at work. Everybody got some friends who they work with. Like, yo, you the home. But what the fuck you doing is affecting my family. Which means I have been seen with you, collaborating and being cool with you. Now you didn't fucked up my situation over something that you didn't involve me in, over your own choices. And so after she did that shit by him and her being affiliated because they were partners, they had several shows together. He is married, not to her. He's married. He has his own wife. When Jemele decided to pull a move, she fucked up his bag and his situation with his wife. And you just heard the man sitting up in there. You know, he's a good dude, a good brother, Michael Smith. Good brother, man, because he did not throw her under the bus. He got up in there and said a whole bunch of bullshit to prevent throwing her under the bus. He said a whole bunch of bullshit to prevent throwing her under the bus. All right. They had worked their way up to the flagship program. And when he bowed out, so to say, he started making excuses for it. He said it was no more opportunity for growth. It's always an opportunity for growth. It was, well, damn, now she done fucked up. She didn't got me off my square. Now I gotta go and develop a whole new vision. All right? I gotta develop a whole new vision. All right? Now you see this guy right here. Okay? You see him right here. All right, let me see if I can find a different picture of okay. You see him right here, okay? See this dude right here. Okay, let's see. All right, you see this guy right here. See how he look. You see what all he got going on. You see how he's feeling. Okay?
I do.
You see him. You see how bright he look. You could tell that he's in a good mood. You could tell that he got joy all in him. He don't look the same right here. Because she forced to put him into a situation where he has to figure out how he gonna feed his family. Jemele Hill did that. But she wants to talk about R. Kelly. Because when she was going up against the oppressor, she fucked her bag up. She fucked her money up. She fucked it up for him as well and a bunch of other black folks over there at ESPN. Let's just keep it real. Everybody out here, the reason why I went to the morning is because my content appealed to niggas with jobs. Let's keep it real. My content appeals to people with jobs, people who got someplace to be in the morning. That's why you see me on the mornings now. When you're looking at this dude right here, Michael Smith, you see the same thing that goes on in corporate America with all of us, right? Am I lying? Or am I the only one who has worked or works at a place where one black person, it ain't but a few of y'all there, one black person on the job could do some shit that start making it hard for all black folks at the job. Okay? Because they believe that we all connected. They believe that we all connected. You see that he got trouble on his face. That's worry on this man's face. What you looking at is worry on this brother's face. What's going on, Tory Love? This is worry that is on this man's face because of what? The woman put him into a trick bag. The woman put him into a trick bag. And that's my homie. That's my homegirl. She wrong, but I can't call my homegirl out on being wrong because that's my homegirl, but she fucked up. She fucked up. Let's keep it real. She fucked up. We just gotta be honest. She fucked up. But what you see is her trying to cover down. It's 3 years after she done fucked up. She done gained some 20, 30 pounds. That's stress weight, man. That's stress weight. Everybody know, man, as you get a little bit older, you start getting, when your head ain't right, when your emotions not right, you start gaining stress weight. Because you got some inner demons that you are trying to fight. Jemele Hill has inner demons that she's trying to fight. And I gotta be honest about that. Jemele has inner demons she's trying to fight. And she is chaotic and destructive to everyone around her because she's not right in and of herself. Okay? Jemele Hill ain't right in and of herself, y'all. Like, let's be honest about this. She went out here and she made a move that affected the whole team. She made a move that affected the whole team. Okay? So look, we got new people who have came in here. All right, we got new people that came into the room. Okay. And so listen, let me play y'all what we are listening to for the new people that came into the room. I want I apologize to the people who have been here, but let me tell the new people in the room what we're talking about. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. New people.
Some names you interviewed: Nelson Mandela, Gotti, O.J. Simpson, as you brought up, and what people maybe forget is that you were one of the journalists. I don't know who might have been before you, but I'll just say you were among the first journalists to have sit down with R. Kelly, and this is when he initially there were charged. It was after the tape, correct?
Yeah, it was his first television interview after the tape had surfaced.
Right.
You know, people had heard about it, hadn't seen it, then people saw it, and we got him to sit down. And there is another one of those things where you've got a beloved Black figure who if you ask certain questions may not come out in the best light. And I always say, and then you got their handlers who want to tell you what you can and cannot ask. And my whole career has been shaped around, as most good journalists will do. No, I'm not going to agree not to ask. Your client cannot answer the question, but I'm going to ask it. But yeah, that was one of those that, gained us a lot of attention. And it was maybe that first real crack in, the R. Kelly model. What was funny to me was when that came out, it was like, we gonna boycott and he ain't right. And then Chocolate Factory dropped. It was like, wait, no, not the whole album, right?
Well, to your point about not being afraid to ask these questions, especially on a sensitive subject matter as this one, here's a clip from you asking R. Kelly about in particular. Now, and as you were doing that interview, well, one, how did you get it? Like, what made R. Kelly? Because I will say this, like, getting back real quickly to we were talking about Gayle King, and people bring up, she went after R. Kelly, but she didn't go after Harvey Weinstein. I'm like, first of all, nobody told R. Kelly's dumb ass to do that interview. Nobody did. All right, you have to agree to do it. She has interviewed Harvey Weinstein's lawyer and one of his accusers. That was already done, but R. Kelly has made himself available, right. So it is what it is. And you better
believe if she sat down with Harvey Weinstein, she would have.
Everybody named Mama trying to get that interview. Like, that is, his lawyer is just smart enough that he's not sitting down with anybody. So anyway, I again, as I asked you, how did you wind up getting this?
So, it was a time where everybody was going after R. Kelly. And I think that there are a couple of people in the industry that kind of make a name for themselves that if you want to talk to somebody, here are the 10 people you want to go to. And at that time, BET had a greater position than they have now because white folk didn't care about Black people in the news back then. See, now TMZ would have it, or Extra would have it, or he'd go on, a white. Back then, they didn't care about R. Kelly. So it wasn't important. And so the tape broke, as people realized we got to talk to somebody. And I'm sure he probably had talked to some disc jockeys and some other things, but I think they wanted somebody who they would give some credibility to the interview and some weight to it. And to her credit, my who's still with me today, my booker, Carol Johnson Green, never gave up on trying to get R. Kelly. I kept saying, he ain't talking, forget him, he ain't talking. And she just kept going and kept going and kept going. And one day she literally burst into my office. I thought somebody had died, literally. I was like, she was screaming and yelling, we got it, we got it, we got it. And we got it. And so we flew out and sat down with him. And it was amazing to me because, the denials there. He kept telling me he didn't look at the tape. And I said, well, why wouldn't you look at the tape? And he said, well, if I know I didn't do it, why would I look at the tape? I said, dude, if somebody looked that much like me, I would absolutely want to see what they look like. And, when we were done, again, when that red light goes off, he kept saying to me, you believe me, Ed, don't you? You believe me, you believe me. And I said, dude, it's not for me to believe you or not believe you. I said, I'll tell you this. I might have said this on the air. I said, if that were my daughter, I'd be looking for you. That's how much it looks like you.
Because his original claim was that was his brother. He tried to get his brother to take the rap for him, and
But we are culpable in that too.
Oh,
right?
No question.
Because Black people had heard the whispers about R. Kelly.
The Aaliyah thing was like, We acted like that didn't even happen.
Let's just assume that he really loved Aaliyah. You know, back in the day, people were marrying 16-year-olds and all that. And I don't mean that day, but back in the day,
Right.
further back than that. But I will say this. Let's give him that anomaly. Let's just say that was the one. And whatever special connection they had, as weird as it might seem, let's give him that. It's the rest of them that caused real problems that we knew, oh, you can't just give him Aaliyah if we're hearing about this one, this one, this one, and this one. And so at some level, because of his genius, we were able to look at the same thing, God rest his soul, with Michael Jackson, right? Another person that I did a story on. We were never able to sit down with him per se, but Johnny Cochran was a mentor of mine, and he wanted me to do a story when he was representing Michael from the perspective of what a day at Neverland was, right? So I flew out to the ranch and walked around with Michael and the kids. But again, let that Michael Jackson be the postman Michael Jackson, not the superstar. We'd have run that dude out on a rail. You having sleepovers with 11 and 12 and 13-year-olds? No, that ain't happening in my neighborhood. But Michael Jackson, it's a whole nother thing. So society has some culpability in all of this too.
Well, I mean, considering like as much as people have tried to make R. Kelly into the victim, to your point, do you realize that there ain't a black man out there that could be victimizing women for 30 years, and nobody say a word and get away with it, or everybody's just like, just something that happened like that. He got away with that a long time. Same thing with Bill Cosby. This is a long time. So that's what happened when you not just have talent, but you have the money to defend what you do and you provide something. It's a lot of people out there still, they not giving up Step in the Name of Love. It just ain't happening.
Listen,
and hey, that's on you, you know?
And I still, listen, I will play his music in my house. I won't buy it anymore.
Right.
I will not go to another concert.
Right.
But I'm not going. If you said to me, because I had this argument with a friend of mine, you can't listen to R. Kelly no more. So I said, okay, well, let's go turn off every freak out there that you can't buy a record, watch a TV show, watch a movie. See how many people you come up with.
Well, we wouldn't be watching or listening to a lot. But R. Kelly's, man, because now it's like so ingrained that he is a monster. Like, I can't even do it, man. And especially his earlier stuff, which feel like a blueprint to him rapping, to him singing rather about his crimes. I was like, oh.
There's some truth to
you
that.
know, I really can't. So it's
sorry.
I know.
I'm not trying to be funny when I say this. I'm being absolutely honest. Jemele Hill was the bitch that didn't get no play in elementary school, middle school, high school, and she has a hate towards all men. She got a hate towards all men. She's married now. She bought her a nigga. She bought her a husband. Fuck it. I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. She bought her a husband. You know, good looking nigga fuck with a bitch who got some paper. This shit ain't a new phenomenon. She bought her a husband. Okay. You know, she bought her husband and shit. Like, yo, let's keep this a buck. She found her a nigga who she found her a dude. All right. Good looking man. Okay. She bought her husband. Fuck it, I said it. Shit, she bought her husband. All right. She bought this nigga. Come on, man. She got enough clout. She got enough pull to buy her a nigga. Let's keep this real. She bought her a husband. All right. She bought her some land dick. We ain't covering Tyrese. Fuck Tyrese. Tyrese ain't no real. He ain't no real nigga, Terry. I mean, we ain't covering that shit, Terry. I ain't covering no motherfucking Tyrese. Fuck Tyrese. I said that. When you look at this, she done bought her a motherfucking husband. She's mad at R. Kelly. She done went and did all of this bullshit to fuck up her bag. And now since she done fucked up her own bag, now she wants to go after R. Kelly to build up her little bullshit YouTube channel. Hell, me and Tyson got more subscribers than her raggedy ass. She been on ESPN. She only got like 3,000 subscribers. She's trying to use R. Kelly to come up. But it's time that we set this record straight. First, they said he abused Aaliyah. We never heard Aaliyah say that. We never heard Aaliyah say that. Aaliyah's mama still won't speak on it. That has never been proven. Next, we heard him say that the original claim was that it was his brother. No, the original legal strategy was, how do we know that it's R. Kelly? Okay, number one is, if I said this, my first 5 videos ever on YouTube, the legal statute is beyond a reasonable doubt. If the legal statute is beyond a reasonable doubt, then if I got Kerry Kelly here, how do we know that it's Robert and not Kerry? If I'm your defense attorney, I'm supposed to throw every fucking dart in the case imaginable to prevent this from being guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. It was never said that it was Kerry on the tape. It says, how do we know it ain't his brother? Him and his brother look exactly alike. The next thing that they say, and again, she's over there tap dancing. She's over there tap dancing. She's doing Mr. Bojangles. You know, she's doing Mr. Bojangles. Come on now. Come on, man. She's over there. I'm about to tell you Jemele Hill. Let me take y'all through there. She's tap dancing for Massa. Tap dancing for Massa. She's tap dancing for Massa, giving Massa a show. She's tap dancing for Massa, giving Massa a show. Bojangles. Jemele Bojangles Hill. She wants to get back in with the slave master. She wants to get back in good with the slave master. So she knows how to put a little dog whistle out there. Dog whistles out there. Which is that she wants to throw little dog whistles out there. And one of the dog whistles that she threw out there, she said, well, Harvey Weinstein's attorney was smart enough to not have him sit down with Gayle King. Okay? He was smart enough to not have her sit down with Gayle King. Okay? All right. Now, that's not true. What happened was Gayle King said, "Oh, well, that's just one of the boys, and you know, he's just these are just boyish. Just they were just the boys being the boys. Okay, those are just the boys being the boys. Okay, matter of fact, let's listen to this, right? Let's listen to this.
Talk about what's happening with Harvey Weinstein. I know you posted on Facebook already, but you haven't kind of spoken yet publicly about what's going on.
I think that this is, I'm trying to look for the rainbow in the cloud, the whatever is the silver lining. And this is what I do know for sure. When something this major happens, when you have the fallout, 50 women coming forward, that it's a watershed moment. And what I do believe is actually happening is that, first of all, it's triggering a lot of unreleased pain, repressed anger, guilt, and suffering that a lot of women have had. I happened to be on set with several actresses the other day, and we were filming some things, and they were like, hadn't slept over a period of 2 or 3 days. What is that? They said, "Oh, you guys are suffering from PTSD."
And when you start talking about it out loud too,
everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. And so I think this is a watershed moment. And if we make this just about Harvey Weinstein, then we will have lost this moment. I think this is a moment where no matter what business you work in, there have been women who not only had the disease to please, that's a part of it, but who felt that in order to keep my job, in order to keep my position, in order to keep moving forward, I've got to smile, I've got to look the other way, I got to pretend he didn't say that, I got to pretend he didn't touch me. I think those days are about to be over.
Are over. And if it happens to you, back in the day, you would say, sometimes you're not even aware what he just said wasn't really inappropriate.
I know you've had a couple of moments.
Where you just think, what did he just say?
Yes, I remember Gail had a moment when she came and said to me, when somebody said that it was so inappropriate, I was like, oh my God, you could
think, what did he read?
I know
you're not even aware what he just said wasn't really inappropriate. And if it happens to you, back in the day, you would say, sometimes you're not even aware what he just said wasn't really inappropriate. And if it happens to you, back in the day, you would say, sometimes you're not even aware what he just said wasn't really inappropriate.
I know you've had a couple of moments.
Where you just think, what did he just say?
Yes, I remember Gail had a moment when she came and said to me, when somebody said that it was so inappropriate, I was like, oh my God, you could sue over that. But
no, and all I said was, what did you say? And then they repeated it.
Yes.
Terrible. I just sat there typing with my 20-something-year-old.
You didn't hear it.
Yes.
You pretend it's okay. You pretend you didn't.
No, it isn't. You're right, Jeff. You're absolutely right.
But a lot of women have been silenced, and I know.
But I think it's going to change.
Being a victim of child sexual abuse, that when you feel like you cannot be heard, and then other people start speaking out, it makes you feel like, oh, now I can speak out too.
Yeah.
So,
And you've been speaking about it
for years.
Yeah.
The Oscar-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o goes,
Look what's happening with Harvey Weinstein.
My job, in order to keep my position, in order to keep me forward, I've got to smile, I've got to look the other way, I got to pretend I didn't say that, I got to pretend he didn't tell me. I think those days are over.
And if it happens to you, back in the day, you would say, sometimes you're not even aware what he just said was really inappropriate.
Oh, you had a couple of moments.
Where you just think, what did he just say?
Yes, I forget that moment when she came and said to me, when somebody said that it was so inappropriate, I was like, oh my God, you can sue over that.
No, and all I said was, what did you say? And then they repeated it.
Yes.
Terrible. I just sat there typing with my 20-something-year-old.
You didn't hear it. Yes. You pretend it's okay. You pretend you didn't.
No, it isn't. You're right, Jeff. You're absolutely right.
But a lot of women have been silenced, and I know.
But I think it's going to change.
Being a victim of child sexual abuse, that when you feel like you cannot be heard, and then other people start speaking out, it makes you feel like, oh, now I can speak out too.
Yeah.
So,
And you've been speaking about it for a while.
For you.
Now, as we saw right there, they started doing all that goddamn tap dance. They started doing all of that tap dancing. So we about to bring this problem right back front and center where it belongs. I'm about to show y'all who Jemele Hill really is. They say Gail didn't put her, Gail didn't sit in front of Harvey Weinstein. Y'all just heard them talk about Harvey. It was a bunch of goddamn tap dancing going on. Do I gotta cue up the tap dancing? Shit. Listen, they were tap dancing all around the goddamn issue. Did he or didn't he? It was the question. Did he or didn't he was the question. Now, they cover for him. They say, oh, it's the boys. Oh, well, he was saying it. I didn't even really know it was inappropriate. That where I'm from, that's called having your bitch in pocket. Hello? Why do Trent talk like that? Why do we call women bitches? In the world, women are called bitches. I am of the world, therefore I say worldly things. That's called having your bitch in pocket. She knew not to speak out against daddy. All right? So when Gail started talking about, when she started talking about him.
Ladies and gentlemen, you all know that boy, Mr. Pappas. Well, I just found him out in the kitchen and doing this.
Soon as I start talking about him, then tap dance. We start seeing tap dance. All right? It's tap dance. Okay? Why? It was racism was the reason that they covered that. Then you heard Ed Gordon say that R. Kelly asked him, "You believe me, Ed? Don't you? Don't you believe me?" It's I don't know where this shit coming from, man. You think I did this shit, man? Do you really think that I did this shit? He asked him something on a man-to-man basis. Then Ed say, if it was my kid, I'd be looking for you. Ed, you ain't no motherfucking gangster, nigga. Sit your bitch ass down. I hate these Touré ass niggas, these John Legend ass niggas who get in front of the camera and act like they so tough. Nigga, you ain't tough. Nigga, you come out here in the streets with the gorillas and get your ass washed. Pussy ass niggas like him. Now, we got to address the elephant in the room. Let me get to the elephant in the room, right? And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. Okay? Here, let me start Xing out some of these windows. I'm going to say this. Okay? Now, in the late 90s, early 2000s, late 90s, R. Kelly wrote I Believe I Could Fly in the mid 90s. It came out on Space Jam soundtrack, but he also put it on his album. Okay. Now, when R. Kelly put I Believe I Could Fly on his album, he had I'm Your Angel. That double R disc was his breakout disc. It was his breakout disc. The only reason why come R. Kelly is not globally recognized as a cultural icon up there with the likes of Prince and Michael Jackson. When you look at his body of work, he's up there, but he's not globally recognized as that. Why? Because he kept his music in the lane for his base. What is his base? What do I mean by that? People who are in here in this chat right now, Daddy Lolo, Wish, Sunflower Power, no disrespect to you, Southside Slim, I don't know you. Sharon, Tory Love, Miss Fat Fat, Tawana, Bird, of course, Bird, T Lynn, definitely T Lynn. And listen, without going all the way, Money Gang, definitely Money Gang. Okay, all right. Without going all the way back to a chat, those people are my base, which means that when I make my content, I have to make my content on YouTube for these people. Because these are the people who are going to listen to my channel, regardless if I'm talking about R. Kelly, Elvis Presley, Dragonfly Jones. These people are going to watch my content no matter what, because these are my day one people. These are the people who are always there. All right. R. Kelly's base is the people who were listening to Honey Love, Slow Dance, Seems Like You're Ready, Bump and Grind, 12 Play. Okay. All right. Michael Jackson gave you I Want You Back, but he also gave you his Who's Bad. Michael Jackson was R&B, then he went pop. Michael Jackson's the king of pop, not the king of R&B. All right. Prince pioneered the Minneapolis sound. What's the Minneapolis sound? The Minneapolis sound is where you have two keyboards. One keyboard is playing the bass section, and the other keyboard is playing the rhythm section. He pioneered that sound. R. Kelly pioneered talk singing. However, Prince has Purple Rain. Okay? Prince has Purple Rain. Mike has Thriller. R. Kelly never went commercial. He might have some commercial-based music on an R&B album, but R. Kelly never went commercial. I say all of that, I build it up to go to this point. Now, Ed Gordon had so much to say about R. Kelly when R. Kelly was keeping the lights on at BET. Prince and Michael both performed at Super Bowl. R. Kelly never performed at a Super Bowl. Why? Because he was a black artist. His bass, his music was made for black people, for barbecues, for the hood, for grandmama's a second wedding, for your cousin's wedding, for partying, for singing, for dancing. He wrote songs in the key of life, a la Stevie Wonder. Now, BET today ain't really BET, but he was keeping the lights on over at BET because When you go and research R. Kelly on YouTube, you're going to see more goddamn BET performances than anything. You don't get paid to perform at the BET Awards. You do not get paid to perform at the BET Awards. I'm sorry. You don't. You don't get paid to perform at the BET Awards. You have to pay them. And this is the reason why Kanye was crazy. Kanye say, well, fuck you mean I gotta pay y'all to perform? Fuck that shit. All right? Now, what winds up happening is R. Kelly, while they had Big Tig in the Basement, when they had Cedar's World, College Hill, when that was BET, pre-Viacom, before Viacom came in and bought it up, they depended on R. Kelly. R. Kelly helped build BET. Now that so listen. Ed Gordon, when he talked to Jemele Hill, he says that, well, the black community was the problem and stuff like that. Nigga, nah. If you think that R. Kelly did this shit, you are the problem, Ed Gordon, because your ass brought him on this motherfucker to build up your network, to keep your bitch ass having a job. Now that the person who you was loyal to, Bob Johnson, sold BET out, and you fucked up and out of a job, you missing that goddamn bag, Ed Gordon. Now you got an awful lot to fucking say. When this nigga was keeping the lights on, your ass was shitting and grinning. He was shitting and grinning, man. Period. His ass was shitting and grinning when they were building that BET network. Now it's built up. Because they were built, they used R. Kelly to build their network up, to get it into a position to where it will be advantageous for Viacom to step in and buy it. Shortly after this interview that he's talking about, Bob Johnson sells BET to Viacom, thus begins to purchase the Charlotte Bobcats. The Charlotte Hornets had moved to New Orleans. They were the New Orleans Hornets before they had a name change, where they had to sue the city of where the city of Charlotte sued the city of New Orleans for using the name the Hornets when the city of Charlotte owned the name the Hornets. The Charlotte Bobcats were originally owned by Bob Johnson, the owner of BET, prior to Michael Jordan coming in and buying the then Charlotte Bobcats, hence renaming them the rightful name for an NBA team in the city of Charlotte, North Carolina, the Charlotte Hornets. R. Kelly did this interview in 2002, 2004. They go in and do this. R. Kelly did his first interview with Lena McLean, all of that stuff, all of these exposés, these 3-part interviews on BET in 94. So with them talking about R. Kelly did this, R. Kelly did that, they were the ones who was interviewing R. Kelly, using R. Kelly to build up their network. Once R. Kelly built up their network and his career is 35 deep in the game, 35 years in this game. Now all of a sudden they got a lot of shit to say. Why do they have something to say? Because R. Kelly is in jail and R. Kelly can no longer use him to promote their own brand. So now you are starting to see them change their thinking towards the ways of the slave master, because they are old niggas who didn't have to fight in them in the beginning, and they were under the illusion that white people really loved them, that white people really cared about them. Now they're seeing that the slave master don't give a fuck about them. And now they changing up their tune to be advantageous or in the right line to get picked back up and to get one of them bags from the slave master the way they used to do in the good old days. When they were out here running around under Bob Johnson pimped their ass, bought a basketball team, sold that basketball team for $400-500 million, hit a come up. Bob Johnson played their ass. Okay, Bob Johnson is said to be the type of nigga who he will climb up the ladder and he will rip the ladder up and not let any other blacks climb up that ladder without him. So your problem ain't with R. Kelly, Ed Gordon. Your problem is with Bob Johnson. He played you, boy. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it real. This is unfiltered, unadulterated content. You only gonna find this on Opinionated, a network which I own. All right. Ed Gordon goes on to say, well, even if we choose to ignore Aaliyah, then when we start hearing about this one and this one and this one and this one, this one and this one and then this one and then this one don't have names. They didn't have names. And many of us would not know about a this one, that one, and this one and that one had we not seen Surviving R. Kelly. And he just made it 30 years abusing and assaulting people. That don't make common goddamn sense. He went around for 30 years sexually assaulting women or little girls. Fuck up out of here. He wants the crumbs off the slave master's table. He started talking about society has to be culpable. No. BET burns the culpability. All of the people who are having so much to say, where were they at when it was time to say something? Where were they at? They were nowhere to be found, man. They were nowhere to be found, man. But with that being said, I appreciate y'all for tuning in to Opinionated News Network. As is, the regular way that we deal with these types of things, we got to go to our favorite place, which is a place that I particularly go to pretty much every show that I do. Okay. Every show that I do, I'm going to take y'all to that bridge. Okay. Every show that I do, y'all should just know y'all going to that bridge. So with no further ado, let me go ahead and take y'all to the bridge now. Thanks for tuning in.
I've had some problems, some great and some small. You being God delivered me from them all. Still can't believe all the ways you made. Oh no, incredible God, Jesus, incredible. I had some problems, some great and some small. You be God, deliver me from them all. Still can't believe, all the ways you made. Oh no, and incredible God, He Lord, we love you. He's incredible. Oh, he's a healer. He's a keeper. Oh, Lord, we love you. He's incredible. He's incredible. He's incredible. He's incredible. He's incredible. You deserve an incredible praise. Hallelujah. Lord, we bless you in this place.